this Monday morning, and thank you so much for coming out to highlight the importance of digital navigation and what we're doing here in the town of East Hartford. I've talked to a number of you guys already, and I've probably shared the frustration of having to be up here today to hold this press conference. And as you guys know, we're up here to talk about not only how important digital navigation is to providing just an ordinary resident with the basic quality of life, but for the constant decisions that are coming out of the Trump administration to cut funding for what I would consider to be a basic need. My Sarah Morgan, my library director, reminded me that we were just at Raymond Library just a couple months ago to celebrate the launch of this program. And here we are to talk about the possible ending of this program because of the Trump administration to continue to cut funding to things that, in my opinion, make absolute sense. I do want to highlight Sarah Morgan, our library director, as well as some of our library staff here, who have been instrumental in providing digital navigation to East Hartford residents. I think we understand, and we understood this more than anything after COVID, that digital navigation is becoming a way of life. Digital, going online, technology is now the way of life. And to be able to navigate the internet, navigate using technology, helps a resident to be able to access healthcare, education, employment, all the things, once again, that provide a resident with the basic foundation to have a quality of life. And so, I want to thank Sarah Morgan, who, I really have to give the credit to, has been a leader in understanding how important this is. Through every obstacle, has worked with me and my administration, whether it is to supplement funding, to build positions back into the budget, or to advocate to our state and federal partners on the need to sustain digital navigation here in the town of East Hartford. Because of her work, that is why we're here today. And, where the federal government won't step up, I do want to thank our state and local partners, DAS, as well as Capital Workforce Partners, for being here today to help us understand and to continue to help us try to find solutions to meet this challenge that we're having with the Trump administration. Lastly, I have to give a big thanks to Senator Blumental, who has not only been fighting for digital navigation, but has been fighting the Trump administration tooth and nail every single day. I can't imagine how busy he is. I'm sure he was already busy. But he's been an absolute fighter on a number of issues. So I want to thank all of you guys once again for coming today to highlight this issue, to once again highlight the nonsense that's coming out of the Trump administration. We will step up and take care of East Hartford residents no matter what. So that's our goal, and that's what we'll continue to do. So with that, once again, I want to thank you guys for coming, and I will next turn it over to our Senator Richard Blumental. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor, and thanks to the town of East Hartford for hosting us, to Sarah Morgan for all your great work, Elaine Anderson, who is going to be speaking, as well as Doug Casey and Alex Johnson of the state. Thank you for all the great work you do at the Department of Administrative Services, and our Commissioner Gilman, who's here as well. I often do feel that we are under siege these days. I've just come from a really critical community program that's graduating 21 young women who have been survivors of sexual assault and trafficking, starting new lives with the help of a grant from the federal government. That grant now has been terminated. We were with Job Corps enlistees just last week at this time. Job Corps has been terminated, eliminated, zeroed out. Absolutely unconscionable. These cuts are cruel, and they are dumb. And the cuts in this program are cruel and dumb. 11.9 million for East Hartford, Manchester, New Britain, and Hartford are a lifeline. The internet is a lifeline, no longer a luxury or convenience, if it ever was. It is now essential to being a part of the community. Access to healthcare, to jobs, to everything that in life makes it worth living. The internet demands connectivity. And these grants help to assure that there is equity in connectivity, that nobody is excluded, as right now is happening. In fact, 15% of low-income households in the state of Connecticut have no connectivity. 32% don't own a computer or laptop. 71% of those households lack the skills needed to safely and securely use online tools. You know, the statistics are staggering, and I could give you more, but we're not here about the numbers. We're here about the service that people need, and they know they need it, but access is often denied simply because they aren't connected or they don't have the skills. This program provides both connectivity and skills. You need to be connected to have access, and you need skills to make the tools work. I don't know anything that's more important to somebody looking for a job, somebody seeking to advance their education, somebody wanting to have healthcare information or know where to go to be treated and diagnosed. These kinds of basics, not to mention knowing what food assistance may be available or other kinds of services, absolutely essential. So the $11.9 million to the Capital Workforce Partners and $9 million to the state of Connecticut now have been zeroed out, along with hundreds of other grants that are administered by an organization called the National Telecommunications and Information Administration. And in just recent months, these hundreds of communities have been told that they no longer will have these funds. The burden is going to be on state and local governments, because Connecticut won't abandon it. We don't leave people behind. We will overcome the digital equity gap. It's also known as the homework gap, because it affects particularly students. What we learned during the pandemic is that this kind of connectivity and access are so essential, especially when our communities are challenged by health crises or natural disasters or other kinds of very challenging circumstances in the life of the community, but they're really essential for everyday existence as well. You know, I could go on, but I just want to leave you with this thought. We are going to be fighting. We're not taking this termination with surrender. We're not going to just lie down and let it go. This kind of cruel, dumb action affects red states and blue states alike. My Republican colleagues have to recognize they have a stake in this issue. Their constituents have a stake equal or perhaps even greater than ours, because their state governments aren't going to be the insightful and compassionate state governments that we have here in Connecticut, thanks to our governor and great state officials and local officials. So we are going to fight and hopefully have Republicans in the United States Senate as our allies. We need them, because we're not going to get these cuts reversed without them. And I am literally on my way to catch a flight, going back to DC this afternoon. I I have to tell you, this is always the least happy part of my week when I get on a plane to go down there. But I relish the fight, and I look forward to it because I know we are on the right side of this issue and the right side of history. There will be a day when we look back on these cuts in funding and say, you know, that was probably the most mean-spirited and stupid thing that a government has ever done. Mean-spirited and stupid. Mean-spirited because it's just plain cruel to the people who are denied access, but also stupid because we want people to be trained and become part of the workforce. We want people to be healthy and avoid the costs, both financial and human costs of sickness. We want people to have information they need, whether it's about school closings or public emergencies. And we are failing in a trust obligation that government has to its people. These cuts betray trust. They renege on a promise. They are, in effect, a real betrayal of trust that the federal government and, unfortunately, this administration has to people to keep faith with them and give them the basic services that government can and must provide. So I am really honored to be here today and introduce Sarah Morgan, and she will introduce our other speakers. Thank you, Sarah.
So much. Thank you so much, Senator. It's really an honor to host this important event to highlight the critical need in Connecticut for funding to support digital inclusion initiatives. And I'm so grateful to Senator Blumental and his office and to Capital Workforce Partners for putting this together. We're joined in East Hartford today by a member of our board, by members of the library staff, by a digital navigation client, and by representatives also of the Hartford Public Library, a partner with us in the $11.9 million grant the Senator referenced. Libraries have been involved with digital inclusion work since before the term was coined. In East Hartford, our formal launch was as a participating library in an ARPA-funded pilot project coordinated by the Connecticut State Library in 2021. Hartford was one of the other 4 libraries participating in that early work in Connecticut on the digital navigation model. This year, we launched here in East Hartford a Department of Workforce Development and Digital Inclusion that both assists residents with career services and provides digital navigation. It's the next step for our program. The programs are intertwined. As the Senator referenced, most people looking to skill up or move into better employment need support from digital navigators to succeed, need those digital skills. Our clients are senior citizens, entrepreneurs, English language learners, GED students, job seekers, parents, and veterans. They come from all walks of life. And our navigators aren't IT specialists. That's not the model. They're cheerleaders, they're teachers. They model how to learn new technology skills and are sometimes learning those technology skills alongside their clients and modeling that process. They pair one-on-one to build trust, which is a huge issue in internet adoption, and to support growth. There's no set curriculum. Each client sets personal goals, which vary widely and may include computer basics, navigating the internet, filling out job applications, or more advanced skills. Navigators also assist clients with signing up for home internet and distribute devices, laptops, tablets, Chromebooks for households to keep. In East Hartford, we've distributed, I checked before this event, 241 so far to East Hartford households. We've been working closely with our partners at Hartford Public Library to craft a regional plan that would expand digital navigation, which we have here in East Hartford for East Hartford residents, to communities, Manchester, New Britain, and in Hartford, The library was not only part of the collaborative plan with us, the CWP plan, and was scheduled to get, I think, over $2 million from that grant, but was also participating in a state pilot and had staff hired and ready to go to launch that work when it was abruptly ended. So the impact of the cancellation of this grant is not felt just here in East Hartford, but regionally and particularly in Hartford. Our program is currently funded by local foundation and ARPA dollars. We're fortunate to have a very supportive administration, as you heard, with Mayor Martin. But we were counting on the CWP-led NTIA grant to expand services to meet the great need in East Hartford over the next 5 years. So I am happy now to introduce Elaine Andreessen, who is an East Hartford resident, who can talk a little bit about her own experience with digital navigation and the impact there. Thank you so much, Elaine. I promised Elaine it was a friendly audience.
Well, when I was listening to the mayor and Senator Blumental, I thought, stop talking, because you're telling my story, which is old person here, not as old as I hope to be. But society has taken off like mad with the digital, and it is so difficult as a senior citizen to be independent. And, you know, it's a brave new world, I guess. But luckily, I found the digital navigator. And even banking. I went to the bank and they insist, first of all, you make an appointment online. Okay, that's hard to do if you don't know how to do it. However, you go in and you can sit and wait, or you can make a future appointment. And you really are feeling pressured to do online banking. So they put it on and you think, well, that's it. I'm never going to see that little bit of money again because I won't go back to that bank. But they're all doing it. And so it was an example. My digital navigator helped me get a photo. So there's extra security. You would think it was a big sum. It's not. But it just feels more secure using it. And also, all these years that the doctors have put your information on my chart, people ask your numbers. I do not know my numbers because I can't get online to find them. And they really do not take kindly when you ask for a paper copy. And I'm sure soon there'll be a charge. But as I say, it just is nice to have a service. You can have the equipment and people can help you. And what they do is they take it and they do it for you and say, oh, good, but you don't learn how to do it. And what's so important is feeling independent and being a member of the society you live in, a functioning member. And so I'm hoping they will keep the appointment and encourage it to expand. I have friends, fellow teachers, ex-teachers, shall we say, and we love doing lunch because you never had lunch. So we love doing lunch. And I go and I tell, and they're waiting for me to teach them. And I think you're going to have to have a long wait here. But anyway, they want to know if they can come and use the services. And I'm not sure, so I told them I would check on it. So I think there is a need, not only for the students, which is our future, but also the old people and regular people too, middle age, whatever, to take advantage of what our brave new world is like. I think it's exciting for AI, and I really want to be part of it. And I appreciate the program and the people. As I always say, libraries are the best kept secret in our society. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As I'm sure you can tell, Elaine is one of our superstar clients who has learned lots of new things, and that's why we were excited to feature her today. Next, I'm going to turn the mic over to Doug Casey, who's the Executive Director of the Connecticut Commission for Educational Technology.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's hard to follow up with Elaine because what amazing examples. Look, the digital equity program begins and really is focused on people. The term equity has been misunderstood in a lot of circles. Really, it really comes down to opportunity. Opportunity for older residents, opportunities for veterans, 25-year-old veterans and 81-year-old veterans. It's an opportunity for people to engage in the digital world. It also started with the leadership of this state. We've been concerned with and addressing digital equity literally for decades. And under the leadership of Governor Lamont and Commissioner Gilman and our Chief Information Officer, Mark Raymond, and the unflagging energy and insight of our program manager, Lauren Thompson. We've been working to get more information about what this digital divide looks like, and the prior investments have resulted in a really solid, actionable plan. It's data-driven, and we're going to continue working on it, but as Senator Blumental highlighted earlier, there are some real gaps in our state. And quite often it's easiest to sort of point at the boxes and wires and computers and connections. And those are sort of table stakes. Those are essential for closing the digital divide. If you're not online, you can't engage in the digital world. But what we found is, after focus groups and hearing from more than 7,000 residents, that the real gap is a skills gap. And Elaine, your examples are just right on target. To navigate artificial intelligence and two-factor authentication in banking and healthcare, and all these things are digital now. And they're convenient for people who know how to use those tools, and yet for people who don't, they're left out in the cold. So we look at this as a really pivotal moment of inflection. We are still extremely optimistic, regardless of the cuts in funds that accumulate across multiple programs to more than $30 million of cuts to the state of Connecticut. We hold promise and potential here with the work that we've mapped out. Just to give you a flavor of the projects that would have been moving forward, we were on the cusp of releasing information about how community-based organizations, those organizations that already have the trust and relationships with our residents, would be able to apply for funding. We were ready to launch a program that would allow any resident to call up a hotline and get help. We were also in a place where small community-based organizations who might want to scale up or launch digital navigation programs could get help in person with colleagues and share best practices, and on and on. We have a wonderful program that is teed up and ready to go. So where to from here? Obviously, with the cuts in funding, it means that the pace of acceleration and the pace of rollout can't be as quick, and it can't be on the scale that we saw. But we are trusting with our leadership that we're going to keep pursuing this. And in the meantime, there's a lot that we can do to continue helping residents, and I know that we will. So this is a point of action for all of us. We welcome, at the state level, we welcome all of our partners from the corporate side, from philanthropies, community-based organizations, whether it's assets and resources and energy to contribute or questions. We are here to continue championing this work. So with that, I will hand things back over to Sarah and on to our next speaker.
Alex Johnson.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Alex? Capital Workforce. Thank you, Alex, please.
Good morning, all. I'm here in part to share my frustration and my disappointment, but also in part to share my optimism. Again, I'm Alex Johnson, President and CEO of Capital Workforce Partners. Capital Workforce Partners is the regional workforce development organization, and it is our responsibility as an organization to work with business and industry to be clear on what their skill needs are, and then ensure that we're building the talent in our workforce to meet those skill needs. So as an organization, we're very engaged with doing that work, and we work in partnership with Kelly Valera's our Chief Workforce Officer, with the Office of Workforce Strategies, and the Governor's Workforce Council. As I share my disappointment, working in partnership with the Central Connecticut Digital Equity Alliance, we forged a partnership of over 15 organizations, our library system, our adult eds, our community-based partners, our workforce organizations, and we forged this partnership with the sole purpose of ensuring that we were going to expand access to opportunity for digital literacy, both in terms of skill development as well as providing them with the tools to enable them to have the access to these systems. And the grant that we've spoken about, the $11.9 million grant, we competed with over 600 organizations. We were one of 29 nationally that was recommended to get this award. And I was saddened a little over a couple of weeks ago when I received a letter saying, your grant has been terminated. This grant would have provided us with the capacity to serve 24,000 households. It would have given us the capacity to support 18,000 individuals, to give them the skills that they need to be able to maneuver in this society. It would have given us the resources to equip over 5,000 households with the necessary tools and equipment. So we are somewhat disappointed, but as we've said today, we will not be deterred. We have a mission. We know we need to do this work, and we're going to continue to do this work. As a workforce organization, as I mentioned, as we're trying to build the skills of our workforce, digital literacy and skills are essential. As we look at, and as I mentioned, we're very close to identifying what employer needs are. And as we know, our workplace is changing rapidly as a result of technology. That change is also being fueled by AI. So it is changing rapidly, and we have a responsibility, particularly to our low-income residents, to ensure that we have and giving them the tools that they need to be able to develop themselves so that they can compete in this new world order. So we're going to continue to do this work. I'm pleased that our senator has said we're not done yet. We're going to continue this fight. We're going to continue this journey. As the leader of Capital Workforce Partners, we're going to continue to work in this space, working in partnership with our state partners. The plan that we built was aligned with the state vision for this work. We're going to continue to figure out how we do it, because at the end of the day, it makes sense for all of us, and it makes sense for the people we're here to serve. So again, I feel, although I'm disappointed, I feel optimistic that we're going to continue to do this work, continue to provide access, and ensure that this work continues beyond today. So thank you for being here. Thank you, Senator. Thank you, the Mayor in the town of East Hartford, for facilitating this meeting. Thank you.
Let me just say, Capital Workforce Partners does such great work. The libraries do such wonderful work, and the combination of that with a great community in East Hartford and the job creators and the educators who are here today, I just want to express my thanks. As I go around the state of Connecticut and I visit a lot of businesses, a lot of small and medium-sized businesses, the most common point that I hear is we can't find people to fill the jobs. We cannot find people with skills to fill the jobs that are available. People whom we need to fill these jobs. And often it's defense contractors, parts of the supply chain for Electric Boat or Pratt & Whitney or Sikorsky. It's a matter of national security. And the way to fill those jobs is to provide the education and the skills that the internet makes possible. It's really pretty simple and straightforward. And the cuts in these grants are very simply done as well as cool. And they are really time sensitive. Time is not on our side. Kids are growing and their lives are advancing. And if they miss these opportunities, their lives are changed forever. You know, digital literacy is as important as any other kind of literacy. We would not tolerate thousands of children being unable to read, just being unable to read books. We would not tolerate illiteracy among lower income families with children denied the opportunity to read. We would not tolerate people being denied that basic right to education. And so it seems to me there is a moral imperative here as well as an economic imperative, because we will not have the workforce that Connecticut needs if we fail in this basic service. And, just one last point, and some of you may have heard me say it, but, I talk to my colleagues about their states, and they're always bragging about oil wells and uranium mines and the Grand Canyon and the Tetons. We don't have all those natural wonders. What we have is really smart people. That's our value added to the United States of America. We have really smart, skilled people. And if we fail to provide more of them to our economy and society, we will miss an opportunity and we will fail the nation. And it isn't Connecticut failing, it's this administration that is denying us the tools we need to fulfill that obligation. So that's why I'm going to be fighting. And I really appreciate all of you being here to give us the wind at our back. We'll be calling on you. I can't predict what the outcome's going to be, but I can tell you in the long run, people will be connected because it's a matter of equity in our society. I know diversity, equity, and inclusion are not on this administration's good list, but they are on mine. And the digital equity gap is about essentials. Digital equity gap. We need to make sure that we fill that gap and we eliminate the digital divide and guarantee digital literacy. So happy to take any questions. I think we probably exhausted all the potential questions, but if you have any, glad to take them. We have exhausted you. Okay, thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Senator. Safe travels. And thank you for the law, by the way. Thank you for the law. Thank you for making this possible. We wouldn't have ground to stand on without
People under